Shalom everybody, hope you're doing really well. Hope you had a great week. Thursday night here, getting ready for Shabbos already. Just want to share with you a thought on this week's Torah portion and its connection to Hannukah coming up in just a couple of days. Alright, so this Torah portion starts off by saying Vayeishev Yaakov beretz megorei aviv. Right, that Yaakov, we learned already last week, has come back to the land of Israel. And this week's Torah portion opens up to tell us that he's dwelling in the land, not only in the land of Israel, but the place where his forefathers dwelled. The way I look at this is that he's coming back to a place, to a home, to a center, a place where his father and his grandfather were, a place that they opened up, developed, that he's going to develop more. He's coming back home. He's coming back to a center. Right? And it's so important in our lives, right, that we find those times throughout the year, right, to kind of come back home, come back to a center, check in with ourselves. Where were we last year at this time? Where am I this year? Right? And just 2 days from now, on Saturday night, Motzei Shabbat, we're going to be lighting the first light of Hannukah. Right? We know Hannukah is the festival of lights, marking the miracles that took place over about 2,200 years ago, right, in the land of Israel. Right? It's a festival of lights that takes place in the darkest time of the year. Right? And connected to this first verse of this week's Torah portion, it's so many things. Hannukah can be so many things, and it also can be this place that we come to, this place that we return to, this place where we check in with ourselves. Where am I at? Where was I last year? Where was I 2 years ago? Where am I this year? Where do I want to be next year? Right? And dafka, the lights of Hannukah, can help us so much with that. How? It takes us to the very beginning of the Torah, to the first Torah portion, Vayeishev. Right, we learn what's the very first thing that gets created in this world is or, is light. And the third verse of the Torah tells us, V'yomer Elokim yehi or v'yehi or, right, that God said, let there be light, and there was light. Right? Light is the first thing that gets created in this world, and there's a whole beautiful teaching that says that this first light was not a physical light, but it was a spiritual light. It was so intense and so powerful that God had to hide it away. Right? It becomes the Or Haganuz, the hidden light. Right? God did not want this light to be misused by people in the future who wouldn't use it properly. Right? So this light is hidden. Where is it? It's mysterious. But one thing we learn is that when we light our Hannukah lights, every night for 8 nights of Hannukah, the light that comes through the candles that we light is actually that same hidden light from the beginning of creation. Right? It is that Or Haganuz. Right? And that light that is coming from the beginning of creation, right, is coming from a time when the story was just beginning to unfold. Right? If we look at the Jewish commentator on the Torah, Nachmanides, the Ramban, right, he says something very similar to what people would call the Big Bang Theory today, that at the beginning of creation, the beginning of the creation of the world, the entire world was encapsulated in this small, small piece of matter. Everything that ever would be created, that ever would exist, would be in, or was in this small piece of material, of matter. Right? He says this about 1,000 years ago. Right? Science only said this recently, but that's another story for another time. Right? So in a way, this light is coming from a time when everything's already been created. Everything's already been foreseen. From the very beginning of creation comes this light, when the vision for the entire world, right, already existed. From the original intention, the original hope, the original prayer for the world. So when we sit with our Hannukah lights, starting this Motzei Shabbat on Saturday night, and for the next 7 nights after, when we look into those lights and we're instructed, we're inspired, we are told we should sit with the lights, not just light them and go and do something else, but sit with the lights, stare at them, meditate on them. Why? Because the light that's coming through, it's not a normal candle. It has the ability to bring our eyes back to the beginning of creation, right? And show us, right, who we're supposed to be. Who we're supposed to be in this world. Right? What was the original intention, prayer, and hope for us, for me? Right? And then I check in with myself. Am I being that? Right? If I am, in some ways, amazing. Continue, grow, add on to it. If I'm not, what do I need to do differently? So by next year when I get to Hannukah, God willing, and I look at those same lights, I can say, right, I took that and I did something with it. So many things, so many things. Hanukkah is such a deep holiday, the deepest holiday of the year. There's a million other things to say about Hanukkah, but I just bless all of us that we should take the time to light the lights, to sit with the lights, to stare deeply into the lights, and really see that the hidden light that Oregano is. Feel that in our lives, and feel that light coming back into our moment today, our present day, from the beginning of creation, helping us to open up our eyes, to see ourselves, to check in with ourselves, right, and really become the people, right, the whole world is waiting for us to become. Love you guys so much. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, Chanukah Sameach, all the best. Lots of love from the land of Israel.